everyone, and welcome to session 2 on do-it-yourself reporting in Business Central. In our first session, I illustrated how we can take a built-in report, such as the customer item sales report, export that into Excel, use Excel to add a pivot table or to add pretty formatting, and bring the newly formatted Excel sheet back in as a template for future runs of the report. So I can save my formatting and I don't have to repeat that every time I want to push data into Excel. Now, what we can also do to extend this a little further for the technically orientated amongst you is we can use the Business Central development environment to make multiple layouts available to the end user to select at runtime. And not only that, but those layouts can incorporate the pretty formatting and the pivoting and the additional calculations that we want to do in our Excel reporting. So it provides us the capability to vastly enhance the end user reporting experience. And I'm going to show you now how we accomplish this through the design environment. But before we get into the AL code, I want to show you the report that I have built. This is a report, a very simple report. It runs on the GL master table, and it also includes in that the GL entries. So it's a data set that includes two tables linked together on the GL account number. When I run the report and I go into the report layout, I will see that I have got two selectable layouts. And unlike what I have done before, both of these have been built through the development environment. And I have got the first one, GL account list, will give me simply a list of my GL master records showing the number, the name, and income statement or balance sheet designation. The second will show the same accounts, but this time augmented with the transactions that go along with those accounts. So to illustrate, if I say OK here, and I'm going to run the GL account list only, click on download, open up the downloaded document, and there is my list of accounts. There's the account number, the name, and the income or balance sheet designation. Run it again. This time I'm going to let it run the default layout, which is GL accounts and entries. Download. And there is my report, this time with my transactions, showing the posting date, the amount, and the global dimension 1 column. These lines where it says null, that just simply means that there are no transactions linked to that account. But as I did in the previous session, I want that data to be formatted. I want to show my data with pivot tables and looking a little less bland. So in order to do that, I have built in multiple layouts. And let's switch over now to the AL code. The first part of this should be very familiar. There is my data set. And I have got two data items, the first being the GL account, the second being the GL entries linked together on the GL account number. So straightforward. But what we now have is a new section in the report, and that section is called rendering. So there is the keyword rendering, start and end with curly brackets. And within the rendering section, I can now add one or more layouts. I would need to have at least one. The definition is, I think, fairly self-explanatory, starting with the keyword layout, curly brackets to start and end, optional, a caption, compulsory, a layout file property and a type property. The layout file will contain a string which tells the system or tells the compiler where to look for the layout file. The type property will tell us what kind of file it is. So in this case, I'm using Excel for both. The type could also be a Word layout, or it could be an RDLC layout. And the layouts don't have to be the same. So I can use the same underlying data structure to provide layouts in different formats. So in the same report object, I could include a Word layout, an RDLC layout, and an Excel layout if I choose to. I'm using only Excel, and that's basically all I have to do here. I'm going to add a layout. So let's go in here and say layout. And this one I'm going to call fancy. I'll give it a caption. Make it a little bit better. And the type again will be Excel. I'm going to copy this because I'm a bit lazy to retype it. And this time I have already created the layout. It is over here, there, GL Fancy. So I will change the name there to GL Fancy. And the last thing that I have to do, which is new in this version, is to tell it which is my default. So if I go back up to my report properties at the top, I add a new property called default rendering layout, and I select the name that I want to use. So I'm going to use my GL. Why is it not showing me that? Let's have a look. That's why, because it's not called GL Fancy. It is simply called Fancy. That is going to be my pre-selected version when I run the report. Save it and compile into my application. And let's have a look at what the result is. If I run my report now, and I can see that my report layout is now called Formatted GL Entries. Let's go and have a look at what it has done. There they are. So there are the original two that I had, and this Formatted GL Entries is my default. I know that because it is ticked over there. I don't need to select it. It is my default. And when I click on download, go and open the downloaded file. There it is. I have my data. I have it formatted. I have got nice pretty green. I have summarized it by account name. I changed the formatting of my number so that it is a nice currency orientated format. And I have got a filter. So I can now go there and say, I only want to see the balance sheet accounts. Okay. Or I only want to see the income statement accounts. And this is now available as a predefined format. So I can sort of preempt the kind of information that the user is going to want to look at and how they are going to want to see the data. I am still not taking away from them the ability to take my formats and create their own and upload them and make them available. How would we use this? I think the idea behind this is that we should be moving away from using old-fashioned RDLC layouts and using paper-based output or PDF-based output. The beauty of this is that Excel is so much more flexible and we can do so much more with it. So we don't generally want to just have lists of reports. We want to have something that we can analyze, summarize, present in a more meaningful way. And this provides us with the capability to do that. It also provides us with the capability to put the reporting in the hands of the end user. So they are no longer restricted by what the developers have chosen to present. They have the power to create their own reports, build their own layouts, present the data in a way that is meaningful to them. What I can also foresee is that the need to write reports will be somewhat diminished. I would suggest that what we want to start doing is going into different areas of the system, different modules, and building a kind of master report that contains pretty much every field that an end user may want to see, and presenting that simply as a data set with no layout, just a plain data set, and then allowing the user to take that and build their own pivot tables and their own better formatted reports from that they can reuse. So it takes away the pressure from the developer to try and preempt what a user wants to see, to spend many fruitless hours trying to format and make the report look decent. It gives all of the power and the responsibility into the hands of the end user. So I think that this is a very exciting innovation, and I predict that this is the end of the old PDF-based RDLC reports. I hope you have fun with it. Cheers.